You ever get that feeling like when you're trying to learn something new,
Mm-hmm.
you're putting in the effort,
Yeah.
but it's just not clicking?
Right.
Like you're just wading through all this information,
Mhm.
but you're not really absorbing it.
For sure.
I think we all want to be able to learn things effectively, right?
Yeah.
We want to get to those aha moments,
Totally.
but we don't want to feel overwhelmed by the process.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Okay.
We are going to be taking a look at how we learn,
Yeah.
like the actual science behind it.
Cool.
And we're going to be doing that through a really interesting research paper.
Okay.
It is called Toward a Synthesis of Cognitive Load Theory for Component Instructional Design and Self-Directed Learning.
Okay.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
By Van Marienboer and Slijsmans.
Right.
Now, I know cognitive load theory and four-component instructional design
Yeah.
might sound a bit academic and jargony,
Uh-huh.
but I promise you the ideas in here are so relevant to how we learn every single day.
Absolutely.
And that's really what our goal is here,
Okay.
is to unpack some of those key insights
Mm-hmm.
from this research
Right.
and figure out how we can actually design better learning experiences,
Nice.
especially for ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like, whether you're picking up a new skill
Right.
for work or just trying to understand a new topic that you're interested in,
Yeah.
like really getting how our brains process all this new information is key
Yeah, for sure.
to making it stick.
Totally.
And, it's interesting because, like, in modern learning environments, we're kind of thrown into these complex real-world tasks right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine trying to learn a new language
Okay.
and you're just thrown into a conversation with native speakers,
Oh, yeah.
which can be great for immersion,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also, like, super demanding, especially when you're just starting out.
Totally.
Yeah, you want to ask, like, a really simple question, but you're suddenly faced with all this unfamiliar vocabulary and grammar.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah, and that's where this idea of cognitive load theory comes in, right? Like,
Exactly.
like managing how much mental effort we're using when we're learning something.
Yeah, cognitive load theory basically identifies three main types of cognitive load
Okay.
or mental effort that you experience when you're learning.
Okay, so 3 types.
Yeah, the first one is called intrinsic load.
Intrinsic load.
Right, and that's basically the inherent difficulty of the material itself.
Right.
Like the paper refers to it as the number of interacting elements.
Yeah.
So basically it's like the amount of information you need to keep in your mind and connect all at the same time.
Okay.
So like learning to play a complex musical instrument
Okay.
that has a high intrinsic load,
Makes sense.
because you need to coordinate so many different things all at once.
Yeah, your hands, your feet, reading the music, breathing.
Exactly, breathing.
Yeah.
And that load is unavoidable to a point, it's part of what makes the material challenging.
Yeah, you can't just simplify playing a concerto down to hitting one note.
Exactly. You got to embrace that complexity.
Right, but then there's this other type of load.
Right.
Extraneous load.
Extraneous load, and this is the one we really want to watch out for.
Okay.
Because extraneous load is like, it's caused by bad instructional design or processes that don't really help you learn.
Got it.
Like imagine you're trying to follow a recipe,
Okay.
but the photos are all blurry
Yes.
and the instructions are like super confusing.
Oh, yeah. I've been there.
That's extraneous load, right?
Yeah.
It's not helping you understand how to cook.
Right.
It's just making it harder and frustrating.
Yeah, it's just getting in the way.
Totally. And that's what we want to minimize when we're learning.
Right. Like, it's like trying to use a new software,
Mm-hmm.
but the user interface is terrible.
Yeah.
It's like so cluttered and it doesn't make sense.
You're fighting the software.
Yeah, and you just end up wasting all this energy just trying to figure out where things are
Exactly.
instead of actually learning how to use the software.
Yeah. So to recap, we have intrinsic load, which is like the inherent difficulty, and extraneous load, which is the unnecessary difficulty.
Okay, what's the third one?
All right. So the third type is called germane load.
Germane load.
Germane load.
Yep.
And this is the good stuff. So this is the type of cognitive effort that's actually dedicated to like deep learning.
Right.
So things like actively trying to understand the material, making connections between the new information and what you already know,
Okay.
and really thinking critically about all these concepts.
Gotcha.
So the key takeaway here is that
Okay.
by minimizing those distractions.
Yeah, the extraneous load.
Extraneous load, exactly.
Right.
And by not overwhelming ourselves with too much information at once.
Right. Managing the intrinsic load.
Managing the intrinsic load,
That's
yes.
okay.
We can free up our mental energy
Okay.
for the real work of learning,
Uh-huh.
making connections.
It's building understanding, That's your main load.
Okay, so it's about making that process of actually understanding things more efficient.
That's the sweet spot we want to hit.
Yeah, and the paper mentions that both cognitive load theory
Yeah.
and this four-component instructional design model, or 4CID, can help us manage those different types of load.
Exactly. Cognitive load theory gives us like these principles for designing good learning materials,
Okay.
while 4CID gives us this broader framework
Okay.
for designing whole educational programs or courses, or even just a series of learning activities that you create for yourself.
Okay, so both are working towards that same goal
Yes,
of optimizing learning
exactly.
by understanding and managing cognitive load.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit more about this 4CID model.
Okay.
The paper says that it focuses on learning tasks as kind of the backbone.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean for us as learners?
So 4CID breaks down these complex learning environments
Okay.
into 4 key components.
Learning tasks, supportive information, procedural information, and part task practice.
Okay, wow, 4 components.
4 components, yeah. But for us today, we're really focusing on learning tasks
Okay.
because those are the actual activities that make learning happen.
Okay.
And the model emphasizes organizing these tasks into something called task classes.
Task classes, kind of like levels in a video game.
Exactly, like levels in a video game.
Okay.
These task classes are organized by difficulty,
Okay.
from simple to complex.
Okay, I like that.
You start with tasks that involve fewer interacting elements, which means like simpler versions of the real-world task you're trying to master.
Okay.
And then as you gain more expertise, you gradually move on to more complex tasks.
Gotcha.
So like think about learning to drive a car.
Okay.
You would start in an empty parking lot practicing basic maneuvers.
Right.
And then eventually you'd move on to busier city streets.
Yeah.
Each of those steps is like a new task class
Okay.
with increasing complexity.
So it's about not trying to tackle the most complex scenario right away,
Exactly.
but building up your skills
Yes.
through those increasingly challenging tasks.
Yeah, and then building on that idea of starting simple.
Got it.
There's another key principle
Okay.
called scaffolding.
Scaffolding.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that?
So scaffolding is basically the support and guidance that you get when you're learning a new task,
Okay.
especially within a new and more difficult task class.
Okay.
So initially, when you're faced with a really tough task,
Yeah.
you need a lot of support to avoid getting overwhelmed
Makes sense.
by that initial intrinsic load and any potential extraneous load.
Okay.
But as you become more proficient,
Yeah.
that support should gradually decrease.
Gotcha.
It fades away, allowing you to really take ownership of the learning process.
It's kind of like taking the training wheels off a bike,
Yeah.
right? Like
Here
you
we go.
need those training wheels at first to kind of get it, but eventually you got to take them off to really learn how to ride on your own.
Exactly, to build that mastery.
Right.
And the paper gives this really cool example of a completion strategy.
Okay, a completion strategy. What is that?
So like imagine you're trying to learn how to solve a specific type of problem.
Okay.
You might start by looking at fully worked out examples
Okay.
where every step is shown.
Okay.
And then you move on to partially completed problems
Okay.
where you have to fill in the missing steps.
I see.
And finally, you tackle conventional problems where you have to come up with the whole solution on your own.
Okay.
So that gradual reduction in support
Yeah.
is really key to building mastery without getting overloaded.
That makes a lot of sense for a structured learning environment, like a course or something.
Yeah,
But what about when we're trying to learn something on our own?
right.
Like the paper talks about this shift towards self-directed learning.
Absolutely. And that's a really important point. Because in self-directed learning, the idea of a learning task actually expands.
Okay. How so?
Well, it's not just about performing the task.
Yeah.
It's also about assessing your own performance.
Okay.
So like taking a critical look at what you've done.
Gotcha.
And then it's also about selecting future tasks that will help you improve.
Okay.
So it's not just doing, it's also reflecting and planning.
So it's like a cycle. You do something, then you look back at how you did,
Exactly.
and then you figure out what you need to work on next.
Yes. And the assessment part involves reflecting on your past performance and comparing it to some kind of standard or goal.
Okay.
So you're asking yourself questions like,
Yes.
what did I do well?
Okay.
And what could I have done better?
Yeah.
Where are my learning needs based on this performance?
Gotcha.
And then the selection part involves thinking about what you're going to do next.
Right.
So what specific task should I work on to improve? How will this next task help me get closer to my goals?
Okay, so it becomes this continuous loop, right?
Yes.
You perform a task, Then you assess how it went.
Mm-hmm.
And then based on that assessment, you select the next task.
Right.
And then you perform that task and the cycle continues.
Exactly. A cycle of continuous improvement.
And the paper also talks about these dynamic links between tasks.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So basically in self-directed learning, the results you get on those earlier tasks directly influence which tasks you choose later on.
Okay, so like if I did really well with a certain level of support, I might choose more challenging task next time.
Right.
With less support.
Exactly.
But if I struggle with something, then maybe I'll choose a task that gives me more scaffolding.
Exactly. Or maybe you focus on a specific area where you need more practice.
Okay, so it's a personalized learning path.
Yes, it is.
That adapts to your individual progress.
Yeah. The paper even calls this on-demand education.
On-demand education, I like that.
It's like your learning adapts in real time to what you need.
Okay, so that's cool. We can tailor our learning journey to our needs and our pace.
Exactly.
But how do we actually apply those cognitive load theory principles?
Okay.
Like simple to complex ordering and fading guidance to those new aspects of self-directed learning, like the self-assessment and the task selection.
That's a great question, and that's really the heart of what this paper is trying to do.
Okay.
It's arguing that those same principles that we use for managing cognitive load during a task, we can also apply them to learning how to self-assess and select tasks effectively.
Okay, so let's start with self-assessment.
All right.
How do we use that simple to complex ordering when we're evaluating our own work?
So think about when you're first learning to evaluate your own work.
Okay.
You can start by focusing on just a few simpler aspects.
Okay.
Maybe just the most routine elements. And as you get better at self-assessment, you can gradually include more complex aspects like problem-solving skills or even communication skills if they're relevant to the task.
So starting small and building up.
Exactly. The paper actually uses a medical diagnosis example.
Okay, I like examples.
So in this example, a medical trainee might initially focus on assessing how accurate they are at taking blood samples.
Okay.
Then they move on to evaluating how well they handle equipment failures. And then finally, they might consider their interactions with patients.
Okay.
So you see there's a clear progression from simpler to more complex evaluation criteria.
Yeah, that gradual approach makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Because if you tried to evaluate everything all at once right from the start, it'd be super overwhelming.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know where to focus.
Exactly.
So what about fading guidance for self-assessment?
So here you might start by looking at fully worked out examples of good assessments.
Okay.
So someone like a teacher or a mentor or maybe even a well-designed online tool.
Yeah.
They would give you an example of a really good evaluation of someone's performance.
Okay.
And they clearly outline the standards that were used.
And they would point out specific areas for improvement with like clear justifications.
Gotcha.
And then you could move on to incomplete assessment examples.
Okay.
Where you have to fill in parts of the evaluation yourself.
Okay.
And eventually the goal is to get to a point where you can independently assess your own performance against all the relevant standards without any external prompts or examples.
Okay, so it's like learning how to critique a movie.
Yeah.
By first reading reviews from experts.
Right.
And then maybe analyzing parts of the movie yourself with some guidance. And then eventually you're able to form your own independent opinions about the film.
Exactly. You're developing that critical eye.
Right. And now what about task selection?
Okay.
That feels like a whole other skill in itself.
It is.
Learning what to learn next.
Yeah, and that's where that simple to complex ordering comes in again.
Okay.
So when you're first learning to choose your next task, you might just want to focus on one or two key factors.
Like how much support is available for the task or the overall difficulty level. But as you get better at selecting tasks, you can start considering more and more factors, like specific features of the task that might really target your weaknesses.
Right.
Or help you build on your strengths.
So it's like, at first I might just be choosing between a practice problem with hints and a practice problem without hints.
Exactly.
But then later on, I might be thinking about these specific sub-problems within a larger task and how those align with my more detailed learning goals.
Yeah, you get more strategic about it.
Okay.
And for scaffolding task selection, the paper talks about this concept of shared control.
Shared control.
Yeah, so in this approach, a teacher or a learning system, they might pre-select a small set of tasks for you based on your past performance and your learning needs.
Gotcha.
And then you get to choose from that smaller set.
Okay.
And as your task selection skills get better and you start to understand what you need better, the size of that pre-selected set gradually increases.
Okay.
Until eventually you can choose from any of the available tasks.
So you're not totally on your own at the start.
Right.
Which could be overwhelming, but you're still actively involved in choosing what you're going to work on.
Yeah, and studies have shown that this shared control can lead to some really positive outcomes.
Like what?
Well, for one, it can lead to better transfer.
Okay, what's transfer?
Transfer is basically your ability to apply what you've learned in new situations.
Oh, okay, that's important.
It is. And it can also boost your motivation and engagement.
Why is that?
Well, because you have more ownership over the learning process.
That makes sense.
So you're more invested in it.
Okay, so we've been talking about managing cognitive load by reducing that intrinsic and extraneous load in performance, self-assessment, and task selection. But the paper also mentions increasing germane load to promote deeper learning.
Yes. How does that work? So by effectively managing intrinsic and extraneous load, you're basically freeing up cognitive resources.
Okay.
And those freed up resources, they can then be directed towards activities that promote that deeper understanding.
Okay.
Which is what germane load is all about.
Gotcha.
And the paper talks about some strategies for reinforcing both self-assessment and task selection skills in a way that naturally increases that germane load.
Okay, let's start with self-assessment.
All right.
How can we boost that deep understanding of our own performance?
One way is by using what's called 360-degree feedback.
360-degree feedback.
Yeah, so this involves getting feedback on your performance from multiple sources, like your peers, mentors, even through self-reflection. And that can give you a much richer and more complete picture
than just getting feedback from like one person.
Exactly, because different people might notice different things, or they might emphasize different aspects of the performance.
That makes sense.
And you can really engage with this feedback by using self-explanation and reflection prompts.
Okay.
So after you get that 360-degree feedback, you might be asked to compare and contrast the different assessments.
Okay.
Look for patterns of agreement and areas where people had different perspectives.
Okay.
You could also engage in peer assessment, where you evaluate the work of others based on some clear criteria.
Gotcha.
And that process of evaluating other people's work, it can actually help you understand the standards of good performance better.
Okay.
And that, in turn, deepens your own understanding of those standards.
So it's like by seeing how other people are doing and how they're being evaluated, I get a better sense of what good performance looks like.
Exactly.
Okay. And then for my own self-assessment, the paper mentions using prompts to understand why I performed the way I did.
Right. Not just the outcome, but the reasons behind it.
Right. So it's like asking myself, was this mistake because I didn't have the foundational knowledge?
Yeah, exactly.
Or because I haven't practiced this type of problem enough? Or maybe I just misunderstood a key concept.
Yeah, you're getting to the root of the problem.
Right. And that deeper level of analysis is really helpful for figuring out what I need to learn next.
Exactly. It informs your future learning needs.
Okay, so now what about reinforcing task selection skills to increase germane load?
Right.
So how can we be more thoughtful about what we choose to learn next?
One effective way is to combine peer assessment with giving advice on learning paths.
Okay.
So after you assess a peer's work, you might be asked to suggest specific tasks or resources that they should use to improve in those areas.
Okay.
And the act of actually making those selections for someone else, it can actually make the principles of task selection much clearer in your own mind.
It's like when you teach a concept to someone else.
Yeah.
You often understand it better yourself.
Right.
Like I'm seeing the bigger picture of their learning journey.
Yeah.
And that helps me understand how to plan my own.
Exactly.
The paper also lists some general principles for task selection.
Okay.
Like if I'm consistently meeting all the standards, but I'm relying on a lot of support, that's probably a sign that I should choose a more challenging task next time.
Right, with less support.
Right.
And conversely, if you're really struggling in a specific area, you should look for tasks that offer more targeted support in that area.
Okay.
Or more focused practice on those skills.
Gotcha.
And again, those self-explanation prompts can be really helpful here.
Okay.
So asking yourself, why did I choose this particular task?
Yeah.
How is this going to help me improve in the areas that I need to work on?
So it all comes back to being more conscious and deliberate.
Yes.
about our learning process.
Absolutely.
Not just about the act of studying itself.
Right. It's about thinking about the whole process.
Right.
And by understanding these principles of cognitive load theory and force CID, we can move from passively receiving information to actively shaping our own learning experiences, whether we're in a formal setting or learning on our own.
So the key takeaway here for you, the listener, is that these frameworks give us a really powerful way to not only understand and improve how we learn new skills and information, but also how we can become more effective self-directed learners.
Absolutely.
It's about being aware of that cognitive load and minimizing those distractions.
Yeah, those things that just add to the mental clutter.
Right. And then maximizing the mental effort that actually leads to real understanding.
Yes, and this applies to everything.
Right.
Not just to when we're actively performing a task, but also to when we're evaluating our progress and choosing what to learn next.
Exactly.
It's about taking control of the whole process.
So if you think about the last time you tried to learn something new, where might you have accidentally increased your cognitive load? Maybe through distractions or poorly designed material.
Right.
And how could you use those principles of simple to complex ordering or fading guidance to approach it differently next time?
Yeah, it's all about reflecting on your own experiences through this new lens.
Yeah.
And, we've really just scratched the surface here. There's so much more to learn about how we learn best.
For sure.
And we hope that this has given you some new tools and perspectives to continue that exploration on your own.
Absolutely.
And become a more strategic and effective learner.
Thanks so much for diving deep with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope this has sparked some new ideas about how you learn and how you can take more control of your own learning journey.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep those neurons firing and keep learning.
Keep learning.
Bye.
See ya.